Hey guys, how you doing? It's Nick from Conquest Cars Canada. Good to see you guys, and I've been getting a lot of questions lately on this. Car salesmen mean a lot of people want to know what's the best way to buy a car. A lot of people need a car. There are their tips or their tricks. So let's figure out how to do it in 2019. There's a couple different ways I want to show you, so let's get started here. Alrighty guys, so first things first, when you're looking to buy a car, a lot of people jump into payment right away. That's not the correct way to buy anything really. What's the best price on an iPhone 10 XL? You want to make sure the phone is something you're comfortable with. You want to make sure that the phone fits your hand. The biggest complaint, I have friends who buy a new phone or anything is, it was popular for somebody else. You got to make sure it's right for you. So this is step one. You got to identify the factors and costs of owning a car. You got to figure out what your needs are, and you got to help prioritize. And that'll make your decision much easier. You'll feel much more comfortable before you even get to the dealership. So number one, there's always going to be two variables. Okay, there's a fixed cost to buying a car, which means you're going to have to look at the actual payment, what you decide to do, whether it's a lease, finance, or pay cash. And the second option that's huge, are the variable cost of ownership. A lot of people ask, okay, what's a variable cost of ownership? Number one, your insurance. It's how much you're going to be paying every month to make sure you are legally allowed to drive that car on Canadian roads. Number two is going to be your interest rate. Depends on your credit. What kind of car loan will the bank allow to get you approved at the rate that they're advertising, right? A lot of the times, that's a hidden cost. Fuel economy. What are you doing with the car, right? Are you driving to school? Is it going to be for towing? Do you want something that's going on gas or something that's really powerful? Do you want a sports car? Do you want something that's fun to drive? These are all really important considerations. And fun fact, a lot of people keep asking me, saying, Nick, is it a good idea to go for a hybrid? This is the question that answers itself, right? Depends how long you're going to be keeping the car for, right? If you're keeping the car for 5 years, quite honestly, that initial premium that you're paying to have, the hybrid technology, the extra batteries in the car, after 4 or 5 years, if you're going to be selling the car anyways, you just hit that break-even point with the amount you're spending on gas. Really doesn't make too much sense. So you have to sit down and identify truly what's important to you, what you're going to be using the car for, how long you even plan on keeping it, right? So that's number one. So the second part, once you've been able to kind of narrow down a car based on your needs, all you have to do is type into Google, what's the best car that's good on fuel economy? What's the best car to insure? What's the best car, secondhand pre-owned on maintenance? It really depends what you're doing, but the easiest thing, your best friend, is going to be YouTube or it's going to be Facebook. Now, the easiest way to search is exactly the way that you would ask a question if you really wanted to go into a dealership. What is the most fuel economic car? And then decide from there. Now, part C, deciding what you like. There's a ton of different places to buy a car. The first place generally people jump to is they go to Kijiji or they go to Auto Trader and they say, okay, what's the dream car that I could afford, maybe if it's used or a couple years older? Honestly, it's always the wrong strategy to start with. And the reason I say that, because if you're looking for a new car, whether it's new or used, you're just looking for a new car for yourself, an automotive marketplace is just going to confuse you right away. Right? You're going to start in the wrong order, to be completely honest. You're going to submit a lead on a car you don't really know a whole lot about, just looks good because your uncle's friend or your brother, they recommended that, hey, shop on Auto Trader. That's how I got a really good deal on so-and-so Civic. Make sure that before you end up getting to an automotive marketplace, you've done the due diligence, you've gone on YouTube, you've asked those questions to your online friends at Google and YouTube to make sure that you really know what you're looking for. Don't jump into marketplaces right away. My best advice, go on a manufacturer website and learn about that car. Even if you're in a market for a used car. If you're looking for a 2016, go on the manufacturer website and find out if it's 2019, the features, and you're going to learn the differences in trim. That'll help you a whole lot later. You may find that there's a car that's way cheaper, that's a 2016, and there's another 2016 with similar kilometers, and it's a couple $1,000s more. Rather than trying to do the guesswork of if there's an accident, the car's in bad shape or needs repairs, usually a lot of the time the answer is just plain and simple. Is it a different trim? And most of the times you can have a car that's a different trim but has different packages on it. So, what do I mean by trim? Well, there's good, better, best. It's what you're looking for. Most cars come with standard features, add-ons, and a lot of fun stuff, right? You got to decide where you sit in that respective order. But keep in mind too, you could have a low trim that has just as much equipment and technology as a middle trim, and in some cases you can actually get that lower trim a little bit more equipped. So keep that in mind. My rule of thumb is always start on the manufacturer website to learn more about the product before you dive into the prices. You'll save yourself a ton of time and a ton of pain at the dealership. Decided that you found a car, fantastic, that's awesome. Now it's time to do the dreaded dirty deed. You got to go to a car dealership. Okay, it's really not that hard, right? A lot of the time people start in the wrong order and they haven't done enough research before they have gone to the dealership. In my opinion, the best way to be prepared is to be informed. And again, dealers, most of them are going to be your friends. It's very, very competitive these days for any dealership, whether it's GM, Ford, Volkswagen. But at the end of the day, as long as you know what you're looking for, you'll be able to have more of an idea and a better use of your time and feel like you're actually making some progress. So first things first, you're going to start with a dealership walk around. Right? Once you find the car that you've submitted an online lead for, you want to make sure you can go to the dealership and check out the car in person, just like you've seen on YouTube. You want to do a 360. You want to identify if it has all the features that you're hoping for in that car. The second thing you're going to do is obviously you're going to be paired with a salesperson. They're going to offer you first and foremost a test drive, which is very, very important. And the reason I say that, again, you already probably have a pretty good idea on pricing. There's a lot of different websites that will be able to help you understand the best prices that you can get, and we'll touch upon that later. But you want to make sure that the vehicle you're test driving on is exactly the one you think. You know, a lot of the times when I do research, I have 30 different windows open, 30 different tabs. By the time I close all of them, I forget what's what and what comes with what trim. So make sure that from the get-go, before you necessarily get too fixated on pricing, make sure that it is the right car for you. Okay, so hopefully you've completed the test drive. That's awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You had the chance to ask questions. I always recommend going with a sales consultant. Don't feel uncomfortable. It's their job. They shouldn't make you feel uncomfortable. And they will point out a lot of different things in that test drive that'll give you the opportunity to really, enjoy. Maybe there's a feature that wasn't engaged. Maybe you didn't get the full experience. Maybe something didn't work because you didn't know how to turn it on. New cars have so much technology. Don't shortchange yourself. Always go with a consultant and feel free to ask them questions. Generally, they're very well informed. My biggest rule of thumb too, once you've gotten back to the dealership, it's very important to identify. The three things you're looking here for is, number one, what would you change about the car? So number one, what would you add, right? If there is something missing from the car, is there a safety feature that you were hoping to have? Ask your consultant, see what's available. Is there maybe a rim that you were hoping for that you saw online or on the YouTube videos? Ask your consultant. Would you replace anything, right? This is the same kind of idea. Would you replace the color? Was the interior the exact color that you would have wanted? And again, you've done your research, you know what's available. What do you have in stock now is a question you ask your dealer. I like this car, however, I would change the interior to be black and I would change the exterior to be white, let's just say. Number three, what would you get rid of, right? What would you delete off the car? So say, hey, you know what, Mr. Salesperson, I absolutely love the vehicle. However, I don't think I need that safety package. We had a 15-minute demonstration. I don't think that's the one for me. Right? That's the most important thing that you want to try and identify, and that makes it much easier to work pricing once you've been able to figure out what's more tailored to you. All right, and now hopefully you've been able to identify more of the vehicle that you want to see. Should you pay cash, should you lease, or should you finance? Great questions, and leasing has gotten a really bad name. To be quite honest, there's really not such a thing as a bad deal anymore. Leasing may be a better option. It all depends on the month and the programs that are available. Maybe financing is a better option. Ask your consultant. But again, if you've been able to go online and do your homework, obviously the deals will only get better, right? Once you have the opportunity to identify if it's a finance promotion the manufacturer's advertising, it's probably a better idea to finance the car, unless there's other caveats or programs or other bonuses that you may qualify for. And again, maybe you're driving a different brand. Maybe there's a conquest, and that's what it's called in the industry, a conquest bonus. Maybe there's a credit because you are driving a vehicle from the existing brand. It's called a loyalty bonus. Maybe there's a credit because you're currently in a lease or a finance. Again, tied into the loyalty bonus, but don't be afraid to ask those questions. It'll really help you identify what may be a better option. And again, think about the time and duration of ownership, right? Leasing gives you a lot more flexibility if you're going to change or sell the car in 4 or 5 years. People's lifestyles change. You don't want to be locked in a car that's maybe too small, not good enough on gas, or didn't have all the safety features that you were hoping for. It usually makes a big difference in the long run, especially if you do want to eventually trade that car maybe a little bit sooner rather than let it run for a full duration of a finance, right? That's why I would suggest leasing. Financing, if you absolutely love the car, you know that you've had one prior, your friends recommend it, and you know they've already experienced what the car has to offer, great. Financing may be a better option for you. But again, look at the credits, get more of an understanding of what may be a better option for you, and work with your consultant. All right, so the last step, congratulations. It's time to go to the business office. Hopefully you've been able to find a car that you want at a price that you're very happy with, that'll fit within your budget. The next step is now to work with your business office, the F&I team. There's a lot of different names for them, but these are the people who are going to help put your deal together. A lot of times they have a very bad reputation. I'll explain why. In the past, depending on the dealership you go to, most people will say they will try and upsell you on everything. You know, there's two ways to look at it. A lot of the times, the products and services that they recommend are actually very common, especially there's a lot of great offerings from the F&I department on leases. There's rim protection, there's scratch protection, there's tire coverage. These are things that you better, it's better to have coverage on now than risk it later. As well, too, you may decide that an extended warranty may be a better option. I've been in the industry for not a whole lot of time, but the time that I've seen customers be extremely thankful for having purchased an extended warranty with a scratch protection or tire protection adds far more peace of mind. And especially too, consider what they're having to offer, because you can usually roll that into your finance or your lease payment, which makes it easier than having to pay a lump sum at the end. For example, if you scratched your rims or you got too close to a curb. So keep that in mind, and remember, at the end of the day, you can always say no, but most of the time, these people are coming from experience, and they want to retain you as a happy customer. If we sell you one car, it costs to acquire you is a lot more money. We want to keep you a happy customer. So believe me when I say, a lot of times dealer does have your best interest. They want to make sure that that lease or finance goes very well. You're very happy throughout the entire ownership experience, and there's no surprises at the end. So you can lease your next vehicle, whether your lifestyle changes or you're just ready for something new. Okay, so now you've been able to get everything approved with the business office. They're going to call you and they're going to say, would you like a delivery date today or tomorrow, this or that day, right? Scheduling your delivery, there's a couple things behind the scenes. So number one, obviously insurance has to be arranged. Generally speaking, if you don't have a particular insurance provider, ask your consultant. They will be more than happy to recommend, and generally speaking, within the industry, they can get some pretty good deals. And keep in mind too, if you already have home insurance, bundle it. Talk to your existing insurance company, see if there's money that can be saved by packaging those two together. Renting insurance, so on and so forth. Registration. A lot of times people say, what the heck is that registration fee? What is this licensing fee? Well, that's the fee that's added on because Ministry of Transportation, at least in Ontario, needs to plate your vehicle and register the car under your name. That's that little certificate. When the officer asks you license registration, one of those is going to be provided. Now, the price is never included. That's why you see licensing and HST are extra to every payment. The reason being is because that all will vary based on a speeding ticket. If it's a speeding ticket that you have to pay or a 407 bill, maybe your unpaid bill may be $400 to get you new plates on that car. Bottom line, that's why it's never included, because it sometimes will differ and it's not consistent, but usually it's pretty cheap. It's either the cost of the sticker, the plates, or just to transfer something that's already existing. Alrighty, so let's just say everything's done. Congratulations, you've picked up your car. Now, the questions that I do get asked all the time, obviously, on a new car, there will be a factory warranty. It varies from dealership to dealership, but make sure that you do clarify. Make sure you do clarify with your service department. Ask your salesperson to walk you over. Introduce yourself to one of the advisors that get them to. You always want to ask all your questions up front, right there, in case anything is not covered. But generally speaking, it's that peace of mind to help you understand what you're going to be covered for the duration of that warranty and that lease or finance. After that certain amount of time, it's nice to know what options may be available to you. But again, here's another great point. A lot of the times, once you run out of that warranty period, clients will ask, should I go to the independent body shop? It's way cheaper. Why are your prices more expensive? Every OEM, it's no surprise, is going to be more expensive than Mr. Lube or Midas or your local oil change place. There's two reasons for that. So number one, the cost of labor, yes, is more. Why is it more? Well, any GM dealership that's officially OEM partnered is going to have licensed and certified technicians who have been trained to work particularly on that vehicle. These are the experts. They will catch things that these lube techs will not. And again, an oil change, an air filter, these are small jobs in the routine maintenance of owning a car. But the one thing I always recommend is if you have your car in a lift, at least if one of these trained technicians are taking a look, they may be able to spot any proactive or recommended maintenance in advance before it becomes a problem. So keep that in mind. Also, the oil or the parts that we use at a dealership are always certified. They come with a warranty, they're going to last way longer, and they're specifically built for your vehicle. You know, saving a couple bucks or a couple $100 on a part, if it's not certified or it's not an official part of your manufacturer, may end up causing an issue with another part of the vehicle if that's not pulling its weight. Generally speaking, you're better off getting your car serviced at a manufactured dealership. Here's another fun fact, hidden benefit to you if you get your car serviced at a dealership rather than Mr. Lube. Every time that vehicle has gone through to be serviced, it will have a record on its transcript, the car proof. Eventually you're going to sell the car. You're going to go to the dealership, and the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to ask you kilometers. Second thing, they're going to pull up the history of that car, the service history. If you've been able to service that vehicle at a registered dealership, it will show in the service records of that vehicle. It'll show that it's been well maintained, and it'll actually help you in the long run. Versus if you go to a corner store or a gas station or one of those lube tech spots, that service history won't show up. So again, it actually will save you thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars later on at that dealership if they see that you've been servicing the car there, because they know that it's been inspected and worked on by a technician every step of the way. Hopefully that provides some insight for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. It's one of the first videos here we're doing with Conquest Cars Canada. Again, questions and answers, forums. I'm very happy to help out with you guys. Again, this meme, car salesman, kind of sucks, but it's also pretty funny. There's a lot of bad advice floating around, so hopefully I can answer any questions for you guys. Obviously, pretty candid to say, but please like, comment, subscribe. We're very happy to get back to you, and feel free to recommend the next question. We'd be happy to answer and provide more insight. Till then, thank you guys. Take care.